to death.
In my country...
We just didn't want to interrupt you.
It's your sexy voice. It just, it lulls us all to sleep.
Oh, boy. All right. Let's... hey, YouTube, how's it going? Hey, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 174. And this is a double feature because I reorganized the voting and the channels. I added some new voting channels, so if you want to start voting even more channels, there's more channels to vote on. Fun times. So we are doing two shorts. That's why it's a double feature. And the first one is What is Toxic Masculinity? And that is by the gentleman on the screen. And that is the, what is it called? T1J. He's about 250,000 subs. And this was published in April 2017. It's got about 42,000 views. And then we're switching over to Marxism because,
Yay.
Just because. And that is...
They go hand in hand.
They just might. I don't know. They just might. From Kasey McDonnell. That is not even a 1K sub YouTuber. This has 25,000 views. So we're doing all different kinds of videos these days on the Smudcast. We don't care what the video is, big, small, short, tall. We don't care. We're about diversity here in the Smudcast and representation by anything on the spectrum, which happens to be the spectrum of morons, but that's okay. We appreciate everyone, big or small, so it's okay by me.
I just laugh that people voted for the longest short for us to do.
Well,
long men bad, guys. Come on.
I had to watch so many videos today to get them up. Like it took about 3 hours just to critique all the recommendations for the past 2 weeks, and it was painful. So there was like Jenny Nicholson videos, which are like 2 hours long.
That's
I'm
message coming in.
I
That's
couldn't take
low-hanging
it.
fruit. It's like rotting on the ground.
She is pedantic and just, I don't know. People love her, but whatever. I just couldn't take it. So we're not doing too many of hers. We're doing one or two, if we're lucky. So
people are wrong. So
I don't even understand why people listen to her. She's so vapid, and like her opinions, which is like fine, but she's trying to review things.
You don't understand. She went to see Joker in a drive-through and hid in her
She didn't
car.
like it.
Right, and she understood it so well. These people
fascinating.
who harp on, it's the themes which, make a terrible movie. It excuses it. This heavily themed movie. I don't understand.
I do like the fact that she had a very analytical video on Suicide Squad, which was like, hey, yeah, she's smart. She can do eyeball things with her brain and look at the screen and say, I see this stupid thing. And I'm like, wow, brains. And then all other videos are shit. But that's okay.
She turned it on once and then rode that high.
Yeah, well.
I still don't believe she's ever seen Joker. To be honest with you, I don't believe she's actually seen the movie.
I don't think she was paying attention. Honest to God,
I don't.
If she was in a drive-thru and she was watching it, I bet she's one of those bitches that like are on their phone this whole last time. My sister does this. Pisses me off so hard. She's like, I'm watching the movie. I'm like, no, you're fucking not. You're scrolling through Twitter. Like, I wanted to watch this movie with you so we could talk about it because it's a good movie and you're addicted to your phone. Because at least in like a movie theater, you're socially pressured to not have your phone open to pay the fuck attention.
Like I don't know what to think about that person because there's always that giant porg plushie behind her.
I only judge her because it's a porg plushie and not something good, like a Pusheen. I mean, I'd be a bitch with more stuffed animals if I hadn't moved.
It's more like compensation for something that she doesn't have.
No, it's literally just fluffy. But she just has shit taste, so she gets shit plushies.
You don't understand the team.
I was gonna do my joke.
Oh, what? Tell us your joke.
I was gonna say, for God's sake, for the shut up, you're a woman. Anyway, toxic masculinity.
No, you have to come and listen to me about how I have 30 Pusheen stuffed cats. No, I don't, but I want those.
Oh,
All right. All right. Enough rambling about Jenny Nicholson's wardrobe or whatever. So let's get started. This is going to be a 7-minute long video followed by a 7.5-minute long video. So
4 hours should be done.
Should take about 2 hours. We should be fine. Should be that bad.
I see what his shirt says.
All right. So Jaegerbomb 2. Karl Marx is humanity's biggest mistake. You'd think after failing constantly, people would get a hint. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. See, this is my problem. I was trying to figure out the word for months now. No one's given me an accurate understanding of the word. They use it all the time. Can you please tell me what you mean by it? It's like, go Google it. I've been Googling it. I've been reading articles. And it really doesn't seem like anything that is new or special or any kind of behavior I can zero in on and say, this is an example of this and that. It's always very interpretive, and I hate when people say these things because you say you're poisonous. I'm like, am I so awful a person that my behavior is being learned by another man or another woman and they're enacting that behavior? That's amazing. I'm amazing at influencing people and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So
I'd
cool.
be like, cool, this is amazing. What other powers do I have?
It's different for every person, and I also think the toxic masculinity is not very far off than just toxic human behaviors.
Because
they just like to single out men.
We can talk about.
The only thing that in my brain that I can think of as like toxic masculinity is maybe like an insecure man that tries to compensate by being puffy.
An insecure woman.
Yeah, and like an insecure woman can act the same way. They can act like one of two ways of like, there's insecure bitches that will fight you at the drop of a hat for no goddamn reason. So again, it's just kind of like picking out the men on this.
I think that. Sorry, I thought you were finished.
Oh no, I'm basically finished.
I think that it's sort of a bit of a linguistic tactic that's kind of caught wind in the media, and what it does, the tactic is to replace the word aggression with masculinity, because you see, toxic. Let's replace the word masculinity. Forget the sensationalism for just a moment, just so that we can understand what they're trying to say. So if you take away masculinity, what you have is aggression. So toxic aggression. Now, the reason they replace aggression with the word masculinity is because it's a tactic to make people associate bad forms of aggression with men. They want to personify negative forms of aggression as things that men do. And then another reason they don't use the word aggression is because there are times when aggression is useful and necessary. I'd say it's necessary about 50% of the time. So what happens is, when you stand up for yourself, that's a form of aggression or masculinity. When you interrupt someone, that is a form of aggression or masculinity. When you get in an argument or when you want to physically fight somebody, that is a form of aggression or masculinity. And what they're doing is, they're looking at something that can sometimes be bad, and they're labeling it as always bad. They're coupling the word masculinity with toxic. That's what they're doing. They want to identify men as inherently toxic and people that need to be changed, aka people who need to be controlled.
Yeah, pretty accurate on it. I mean, schools have been trying to feminize boys for the longest time, or at least it's completely structured for girls.
There has been like this process for like the longest time. That
it's been
trying to do these with other words as well.
Yeah, it's
become
an
very blatant.
Overcompensation.
Yeah,
it's also. I think it's a way to divide people as well, because because it's masculinity, it automatically divides you into men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, girls are easy and pliable and usually pretty obedient.
Yep, women are easy.
I know, certainly I am. But
message coming in.
No, that was the only point. I don't have anything else to say.
See that I'm easy. 2021.
I think that there are some other examples that someone actually pointed out to me. I forgot what the YouTuber's name was, but I could link you guys to it later.
All right.
Basically, another example of these linguistic tactics is that when let me try and think of an example. So, if you were to say something like, "Oh, women are less populative in the workforce," they would say, "Yes, that's because sexism. That's because of benevolent sexism. Benevolent meaning well-meaning." Because they say, yeah, because men don't think that women should work because they don't think it would be good for them, yada, yada, yada. So benevolent sexism, something that is done on the behalf of the individual, but it is being worded in a way that is negative. Now take the same thing when they say... It'd
be called privilege when it's referred to men, isn't it?
Exactly. That's, you knew exactly where I was going with it. You see, when something occurs in society that is benevolent toward men, when there is some form of statistic that could be interpreted to be beneficial to men, it is considered quote-unquote privilege. When you take the same exact concept and apply it to women, it is considered benevolent sexism. So when something good happens to a woman, it's worded in a way that makes them a victim. When something good happens to a man, it's worded in a way that makes them a perpetrator.
I think it's the use of words. How can I say this correctly without sounding like an absolute knob?
It's like a double-edged sword because it could happen. Because benevolent sexism is the thing that ends up worsening on women. And like for an example that I can think of, I'm sorry, Hawk, I was interrupting you.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to think of the what I think it is. It's intelligent. There's intelligent people who understand words, and what they're doing is they're manipulating words to control what you would call the unintelligent masses. So they know that what they're saying is utter bullshit, and toxic masculinity. You can't. It's not a real thing. But as long as they can confuse what they regard as the idiots with it and make the idiots think what they're saying is correct, they'll keep using these phrases. So I think it's a very sly thing you can do.
Well, here's a question then, maybe in my brain. The example I can think of like benevolent sexism towards women, where the outcome actually ends up being negative. Let me explain the situation to you to see if you would classify this, or if this is a privilege, or if this is something completely different. But when my mom was back in the workforce, she just had my first brother, her first kid. She would go home at 5 o'clock, and they never asked her to stay, and she'd go home. Well, after a while, her boss and her coworkers became resentful of her because the rest of them were staying after, working to get stuff done. And she was like, well, if you just asked me to stay over, I would have stayed over, it would have helped. And he was like, oh, no, you have kids, but, and I want you to go home to your kids, but I'm looking down on you for not staying after. And so in that situation, she'd be discriminating as more of a mother. And what would you call that? Because there's a negative outcome to that, and they're trying to do something that's helpful.
Message coming in.
Well, you have to look at the metagame there, because I'm sure there are other mothers that very much need that respect. So, that being said, I think it's less a question on how intrusive the privilege is, and just the fact that that's probably the best way to put it. A privilege that may at times be intrusive.
Intrusive, as in...
It could negatively affect you.
Okay, negatively affect you. Okay, just making sure.
I just think the boss just doesn't know what they actually want.
Yeah, it sounds like they don't like the fact that she was a mother and they were just trying to get rid of her in general. This was, God, what time was it? I guess it was the early 90s.
It's 11:15 over here.
Yeah, it was America. It was also engineering in the 90s, which is what my mom was doing. And so I bet there was far more of, a lot of her coworkers were probably men that didn't have to go home, that weren't mothers. And so they had, they probably thought, oh, mother should be at home. You should go home.
That is true. 0% of those men would be mothers.
That is objectively fact. They would not be mothers.
All right.
Nowadays.
Let's get going. Joe Crazy, thanks for the super chat. Sup, y'all? Ready for some tisms? No, but yeah, I know what you mean. Jake the Surgeon, toxic masculinity is what happens when men lack a male role model to help positively influence them. not whatever these hedgehogs think. Now, are we the hedgehogs, or do you mean the people on the screen? I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm definitely a hedgehog, but
Yeah.
You see, the
These
biggest problem.
hedgehogs.
gotta go fast.
I think that the biggest issue here is that these people that call themselves social scientists, or people who engage in what they think is socially scientific behavior, they have a tendency to not actually be able to look at things with the proper lens. They have a tendency, whether it's on purpose or it's subconscious, I think it can be either way, depending on the individual's personality. I think that they have a tendency to examine things and then project onto them wording that describes it in a way that is beneficial to one party and insulting to another. They have a bad tendency to do that.
They can't just see things like normal people.
Like,
They're
"Oh, I
far
see."
too down the rabbit hole.
Like they can't look at a war and be like, I see that this nation and this nation are at war with one another for these specific purposes. Instead, they say, oh, I see that this nation is hurting this nation because they want this. That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, just so far down the rabbit hole. So many dog whistles. They're trained to hear them pretend dog whistles, and that's all they ever hear.
Because you have
And,
these
like,
rich people that are getting paid to say that. And then you have these people like
Message
you
coming
and me
in.
that don't have much money.
Patch
They
it
just
through.
listen to what's on the radio and they repeat it.
Yeah. I mean, I
To
don't
be
know.
honest, you can
Who listens to
argue-
radio? Damn.
You lot are getting paid.
Well, I mean like car radio.
There was an image, I have to go find it, but it was like a monkey strapped to a chair looking at a video, and it's like, this is the stimuli, this is the brain thing, this is the juice reward. And the reaction under it was, y'all were getting a juice reward? Like shit. We don't even get the nice feedback, but let's watch what this guy twists words to be.
And this was
Right.
probably like the smartest part of the discussion anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Y'all can go home. It's memes from now on.
All right. Thank you, Jake, again. You guys are clearly platypus. Okay, that's, I mean...
I'm actually
Big platypus
Batman
brain.
wearing a trench coat.
Like actual Batman, like
Yes.
little bat dudes. Are you okay?
No, like Batman.
Batman.
Yeah. Three-hole Batman.
Three-hole Batman.
All right.
He's Michael Keaton, Adam West, and George Clooney.
Yep.
Trench.
Not George
Bo
Clooney.
Andromeda's a platypus because that's what I am now.
Not George Clooney.
You stuck now.
Anyway, I whipped out my wonderful little
Oh,
bingo card.
bingo,
So-
Little?
bingo card.
Bingo
Bingo
card.
card.
Yeah.
Yes. Where's mine? There's a bingo card, don't you know?
Yeah.
Oh, a bingo card, is it?
And one of the
Come send it to me.
one of the actual squares is
Ooh.
toxic masculinity, so it's already a given.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Oh,
counts for
where's-
like all the other squares around it. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of on the nose.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Smud, can you put a copy of that in the chat bit? Because I can't.
Sure.
I can't find mine. And I actually want to do. I actually want to do it for today.
There you go.
Yes. Aha.
Well, looks like I'm doing it this time.
Okay, let's get
You
started.
haven't got much of
gentlemen.
a choice, man.
And lady, let's go.
Oh, download. Hang on.
Toxic masculinity is among the most unfortunate and damaging aspects of human
I'm doing this all on my phone. So,
I gotta start again because
Yeah,
Hawk was
I'm-
talking.
sorry.
Hawk.
Toxic masculinity is among the most unfortunate and damaging aspects of human society. Most unfortunate and damaging aspects of human society.
Really? That's
Hi,
your
I'm
priority?
T1J.
That was a
Now, I
fucking
know
terrifying
toxic
images.
masculinity is very close to buzzword level. It kind of sounds like a 60s horror movie or something. Beware the
No.
toxic masculinity. So this video is going to
No,
give you a
actually, yeah,
specific
it-
overview
it
of what I
actually
mean when
does.
I
It
say
sounds like a
toxic
stupid parody.
masculinity and why it's a problem. The term
So you
refers
got
to a
that right.
tendency
Hey,
that
it is a
men in
video
many
essay.
societies
Yeah.
have to value and exhibit excessive levels of aggression, risk-taking, and stoicism, to the exclusion of traits.
Whoa. Okay, slow down here. So we have stoicism,
There's a lot.
aggression. These are very opposite things. So are we
right.
like, you can't be too much of
Yeah.
one? Is that the idea? Because I've never had a problem with someone who's too stoic. In fact, they're really
Yeah.
helpful. They're very kind and patient and listening. And open to suggestion. So no, I've never had a problem with a male.
Did he mean stubborn?
Stoicism refers to the inhibition of emotions. And a lot of these SJWs seem to believe
the inhibition
where you
I thought it would be the inhibition of emotions.
Probably, but what I'm trying to say is that when you don't let your emotions out.
Inhibitions is you don't try to stop it at all.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.
So yeah, you got an opposite. I was confused.
Well, usually when I refer to Stoicism, I'm talking about the classic virtues of Greek mythology, or Greek disciplines.
Aristotle.
So
that
if you actually study
Plato.
Various Stoics like Seneca or Marcus Aurelius or all these other letters to Lucilius, they're very, very good with understanding the human condition from 2,000 years ago or whatever. So that's a good thing. These people are revered. These people are respected, at least in my mind, as people to listen to. I don't think anyone looks at Marcus Aurelius and goes, "Yeah, that guy's a toxic male doing all his things."
Okay, let's try to give them as much benefit of the doubt as possible, just so that we could make a solid argument.
Sure.
I'm just saying in this context, this guy's a piece of shit. So, to be as generous as possible, to summarize what these SJWs tend to believe in a way that they probably would agree with, where they'd say, yes, that's an accurate summary of what I think. They believe that men should generally express their emotions, but they believe it, now this is me interjecting, they believe it in a manner that I think does more harm than good. Because they want men to show their emotions so much that they become counterproductive.
Okay, that's interesting because the definition of Stoicism is not we're becoming logical machines. The point is to remove negative emotions from your life and focus on the things that matter. And that's why there's a famous, not a famous quote, but a famous line that is amor fati, that is to love fate. To love whatever you're given in life, and that to embrace that requires the understanding of emotion, whether it's positive or negative, and to
message coming in.
Allow
patching it through
the things that you like, the things that are important to you, because all you've got is a limited time. So you have to do the things you want to do, and those are usually positive things. So those are positive emotions and positive experiences. So it's to throw away. It's not to throw away, but to sort of disregard the negative emotions and say, listen, I'm not going to seek revenge or petty things. I'm going to forget my enemies. I'm going to focus on the things that make me happy.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it also
all right,
like
just because it's useful to me, and then I want you to go ahead. Just because it's useful to me, I actually pulled up Stoicism to look at the definition. And yeah, I'm seeing what Smudboy's talking about. So it actually has two definitions. The first definition is what I was saying, and the second definition is literally what he was saying. So yeah,
you're both right. Oh, I was just saying it's just not letting yourself become overwhelmed with emotion and not letting your thought process be ruled by it. I don't know. I guess we just went over the exact definitions, but that's how I always kind of saw it, especially like in men, is that you just know. Single emotion never overwhelms them enough for it to be controlling. And if it is, it's seen as very childish and honestly kind of like scary. It would seem like out of control.
There would have to be a different understanding of the term applied to whatever experience these people are talking about when they say Stoicism is toxic. So it would have to be like, okay, an uncaring or
I think they're talking about emotionally unavailable guys, usually because they have trauma themselves, and so they never look into their emotions because that's how they deal with it, is that they don't.
Perhaps. It depends. I really want to know his definition of Stoicism, because that could apply to people who aren't empathetic or can't sympathize with someone else or don't even care. There are people like that who are considered Stoics.
You mean like me?
Well, yeah, but you just laugh. Same idea. So it depends on the exact scenario. I want to, because all these have to be based off examples. You can't just say Stoicism is bad. It's like, what do you mean? So I want to know what aggression is bad.
Especially when it's something that, like, even we had that miscommunication. I was unaware there were two definitions. I just thought I was just going off the textbook dictionary definition.
I know, but
which is But you were talking about the ancient school of philosophy. Which
Yeah, I
is
mean,
also here.
if you look at the history of even Catholicism, they borrowed heavily from the Stoics, who borrowed heavily from the hedonists, who borrowed heavily from the Pythagoreans, and like keep going down the list. So there's all these reasons why we have Judeo-Christianism becoming a focus of Europe or Italy at the turn of the millennia. There's all these reasons why we threw away all of our pagan gods and focused on a very specific kind of lifestyle. But I'm not going to get into the history of how the Roman culture influenced Italy and the formation of culture, because that's a whole other ballgame.
Oh yeah, that would be too interesting.
Yeah. So let's just go into the super chats.
Just a question: Did he say problematic as well?
Not yet.
Make sure that I'm getting all.
Oh, let's rewind it. Maybe he did.
Bingo.
Maybe he did. Let's find out.
Say problematic? Okay, I got it. I was looking. I already put down toxic masculinity. That's the
I think that's so, yes.
Beware the toxic masculinity. So this video is going to give you a specific overview of what I mean when I say toxic masculinity and why it's a problem. The term refers to a tendency that men in many societies have to value and exhibit excessive levels of aggression, risk-taking, and stoicism, to the exclusion of...
All right, so there is no such thing as an excessive level of stoicism.
You're too stoic. You turned into a stone.
Okay, also risk-taking, an excessive level, as in, what is this an excessive level of risk-taking?
I guess just doing shit.
Once a day, twice a day,
Yeah,
3
but
times a day.
In what context?
Is it? I guess you could probably measure it in what he's not saying. This is maybe me being too charitable. Is how dangerous it is to safety and bodily harm of themselves and people around them.
Walking
that's
out
stupid.
your door in the morning is taking a risk.
Yeah, I know, but think about it for a second. If you're doing stunts like on those crazy videos where people hurt themselves, who cares? Do it. Yeah. I don't care. No, you're not hurting society. Get yourself killed. Yeah. We don't care.
Yeah, you're dancing on the edge of a balcony and you fall off.
Yeah, go for it. But
maybe it's like road raging. Like
no. Like, okay, if you want to talk about a society like your job is I don't know, you're a day trader and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do all these options trading. Oh, I just lost $1 million. Like, okay, that would be stupid. So that would hurt your company, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that would be affecting the community or job you're in. But I still wouldn't characterize that as toxic. That's just you being an idiot.
That's not something, because women can make a dumb decision that hurts a lot of people at the same time. The same thing with maybe the first thing we think is road rage, is that they go around and brake check people and they're yelling and honking their horn and trying to run people off the road. I've seen plenty of Karens do that too. It happened once to me. It was a guy, but
that's called road rage.
There's a video I saw today of an old lady trying to kill a motorbike.
That has nothing to do with gender
kill a motorbike.
I think yes, just the motorbike.
Good luck to that.
Like we have these terms.
She broke check a motorcyclist and caused him to fucking flip.
Like we have these terms for like road rage or aggressive drivers and what have you, and I can't believe that we've gone from those parent terms. Now we're as humanity progresses on. Now we have new terms, or they're child terms, or certain categories of terms. You're like, wait a second, how are we getting this far down that we can deduce that it's an aspect of adrenaline or androgens in the male genome, that this is how we behave, and therefore it's because of their 20 times testosterone than the average Asian driver who's a female who can't drive and she crashes into like.
Okay, so I just had the thought pop to my head, because would there be moments of where it is specifically to men that they have a negative behavior that women don't really exude, maybe like toxic competitiveness, and that's what they should be more specific about?
Have you ever been in an office with a lot of women? They are competitive as anything.
So.
Yeah, you did remind me.
Have you seen women? Have you seen women's sports? They will kill
okay, well.
No, I just remembered I have an aunt who she would not play disc golf with the rest of us because she knew she would get too competitive and get like upset and spoil it for the rest of us. So she kind of was just hanging around.
Well, when you're talking about competitiveness, it is by definition competitive. You have to compete in business. So if you have two stores or two businesses that are in marketing, I guess you can say they're toxically competitive because they're trying to one up the other guy and get the contract and sell the most and and buy the most from the client. So I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Well, I guess when it reaches into when they do amoral things, then that's just amoral.
Yeah, but that's normal legal issues. That's nothing to do with you know.
But,
there's some things you can do that's completely legal, but it's kind of shitty.
But this is the problem. They say toxic masculinity, but every single example they give, you can easily put it onto women.
Yeah,
as well.
That is the thing.
Like, that's the problem. They can't, like what someone said earlier. There is no definition to toxic masculinity.
I do want to hear him out what his example is gonna be, though.
All right.
Yeah, let's hear him.
Alex,
I could actually use I could use a good example of what you're talking about. I did take a gender studies class a while ago. Don't ask me why.
Oh, boy.
He was forced to.
It was pretty good for my debate skills, though. What happened was, I did it by choice because I'm a masochist. But what happened there was, one example was that the instructor was talking about the statistical likelihood of a male interrupting in a workplace versus a female interrupting in a work environment, and she said that women were roughly, I think, the same amount of likely to interrupt as men. But then she justified it by saying, but when women do it, it's usually because they're trying to assist the other person in making their point. Whereas when a male does it, it's usually to interject their own point, which I think that was a very general assumption to make. It annoyed me.
That is a really
sexist remark.
Because I was wondering, I was like, how exactly was that measured?
Yeah, how is that measured? But also, like, men do that because, like, I work at a corporate environment, and it just kind of assisting the point helps because it kind of like says, oh, we're on the same page, we're thinking the same way. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'll just interrupt because I grew up with 3 siblings. It's the only way you get word in edgewise. But there are like meeker women, but in general, not. If the statistics say that that's what it is, that they interrupt just as often as men, it's for the same reasons as the men, especially as it gets more comfortable. Women are more accepted in the workforce and taken more seriously, which in the last 15 years has definitely improved since I've come in the workforce. I haven't hit any barriers yet, but I haven't gone into any sort of leadership positions yet. So we'll see.
All right. Let's keep going with the super chats and one donation. Alex Halo, how's it going? This video needs more Alexander from Fate Zero, although in the Japanese vernacular, I think it's pronounced Iskander for some stupid reason. I don't know why they did that, but yes, Iskander the Great's a big red-headed dude from not Scotland who happens to want to conquer the world in modern Japan. It's fantastic.
He likes playing video games.
Yeah, looking at maps. Oh my God. Friend Mataraki, thanks for the donation. These social scientists just want traditionally masculine men to be the embodiment of the bike cuck comic and to also be the cleanup crew when Lex Steele is done blowing the back of their girlfriends. Huh.
Oh, yeah.
A vivid image.
That's going to haunt my dreams the rest of my life. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Quite a way to put it.
That's a very colorful way of putting it there, Fran.
They want pliable people. That's what they want, and like they want pliable men, not for any reason.
It's all about control. It's all about control. That's it.
Yeah, they don't want equal persons with which to engage with.
This is why they keep changing the meanings. This is why they want to control words, because it gives you such control over a lot of things.
The control words controls thoughts. It controls the way in which you can actually think things. Like physically taking out words is shown to stop people from being able to conceptualize those concepts. They will have a very vague idea, but without language to communicate it, there's no way to share it beyond your brain and a feeling of just kind of something is wrong.
If you don't know what half the words in your language mean, and you're frightened to say them, what do? You stay quiet, and quiet people always get controlled easily.
Well, it's also a thing that...
Or you watch a video essay about it.
Or you watch a video
essay. You get indoctrinated.
It's also like, I've seen in multilingual people, like one of my friends, she speaks Spanish and English, And she's a completely different person when she speaks Spanish because she has the full vocabulary. She's very smart. She likes to say she's very smart in Spanish, but when she switches to English, she's very kind of short and shy because she's not as confident in her words, and she doesn't know those very precise words for those bigger concepts. And so it's funny to see the shy her in English switch to Spanish, and she's fucking just railing off, like burning up people.
Patching it through.
With being rude and mean. So it's control over language is too much power for anyone, really.
I'd say like that depends on the person, because I did notice this, like, because I have like a foreign girlfriend, but so my parents can't really like communicate with her through English, but they don't give a fuck. So like they're gonna like say whatever they want in Hungarian, and they expect me to translate it.
Yeah, it's more the way their brain processes it in dual language. I don't know if you speak two languages. If you notice any personality changes between the two, like, are you different to us speaking English than to someone else who you're speaking Hungarian to?
Yeah.
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 It does. It does.
It does. See, there you go.
All right.
I only speak one language.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's keep going. Another super chat, just to clarify from Alex. Iskander is what the Arab and Persians called him. I know he has various terms of name calling back in the day, but they're all Japanese now, and they should get along with the Romanji just fine, but they're not, but that's okay. So, let's go.
I was supposed to mute myself.
It's like moderation and emotional sensitivity. It also refers to the exaggerated stereotypes and attitudes our society has about men because of these tendencies. And I don't necessarily mean the bull-headed Johnny Bravo archetype, although that's a thing. I've definitely met human cartoon characters like that. But these attitudes can appear in many different but related ways. Now, as the name implies, toxic
Johnny Bravo was a joke. Like,
regular
he always
masculinity when taken to harmful and dangerous levels. In some ways, masculinity is based on biology and evolution. Males are typically...
In some ways, yes, you're right. Many things
Yeah. Fucking on fire.
Yeah, we have hormones, guys. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, my God.
God, it's like... something, I'm just... I'm going to make a joke, but... No.
All right.
larger and stronger than females. So their roles in society have historically involved utilizations of power. Also, males usually have higher levels of testosterone than females, which is associated with...
Usually? How about all the time?
They should always have higher levels, because women don't make that...
They do. They do make testosterone, but nowhere near the levels of males.
Of what?
No.
Of
testosterone.
Usually males have more testosterone than women, and I'm like, yes.
Like 99.9% of the time.
If you have less than a woman, there's a problem.
Like, I don't know, like, can you eat like so much soy that like your testosterone level's gonna drop below the women's standard?
I don't know. I haven't heard any
soy. When I eat too much soy, it makes me sick.
Exactly.
Gotta stay away from it.
You kill yourself first, and then.
Yeah, what's funny is I'm actually allergic to soy, which makes me really happy.
Soy milk's just gross. Like, if you're lactose intolerant, just get lactose-free milk.
First off, every food is delicious in a certain quality, in a certain preparation. So there is some very, very good soy milk. It's just hard to find.
Makes you liberal.
I prefer oat milk. Smud boy, soy boy confirmed. But
no, it's not that. I know soy. There was a test that eating too much or ingesting too much soy actually increases the chance of dementia or mental health problems over 15 years.
I've heard a lot of differing things, like, they use soy to help women with menopause because it has like estrogen replacement or whatever. But also, like, here's all these people.
It's the estrogen. Yeah, soy is.
Asian people consume a lot of like soy products, and
what's one thing you notice about a lot of Asian males?
They do look pretty feminine, but that's anecdotal. That doesn't really mean. What are you shaking your head for?
That means nothing.
I just know for one that if I see a medical professional who claims to be...
Damn.
I mean, she
just arguing with her boyfriend.
My boyfriend isn't real. He's my schizophrenic hallucination.
It's just a social construct, yeah.
Yeah. Boyfriends are a social construct.
But yeah, if I see a professional claiming that like you should just like eat soy and throw away red meat and other stuff, then I just like no, like okay, stop, go away.
Consuming a lot of soy is also not good for the environment because of how much agricultural land and water it takes.
Yeah, that's something that they never consider. Like they just like skip over that fact.
I don't know.
Like,
they've considered it. They just don't give a shit.
Because it saves the cute little cows. You know, never mind that the cow's purpose is that. Just give the cow a good life.
Oh, no, they'd still kill the cows because they'd probably support what's that animal group? PETA, is it? Or pet? However you pronounce it. Yeah,
what?
They just PETA.
Oh no.
PETA. Oh, I got a completely off-topic anecdote about that, but I won't share it now.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because we keep on topic.
With increased and risk-taking. For the most part, though, masculinity is a social construct and can be defined differently.
No,
it's not.
Social damn.
Oh, we don't have social construct on the bingo card,
research
unfortunately.
Seen out of context. Dreaded T word. What's the T word? Is that Orange Man Bad?
Team.
No, that's
No, it's
Team.
Well, speaking of orange,
there's no social construct one. Damn, you need to add another.
Should have been.
Speaking of orange, I was about to make a joke saying that I'm sure our ancestors, if they really wanted to, they could have sat down and had a nice long debate with the tigers instead of punching them.
Yeah, social construct.
I mean,
what a stupid word as well. Or phrase.
No, social construction could be a very useful term, but it's not.
It can be, but it's just used so incorrectly and so flippantly that it's meaningless. Like, like everything's a social construct because it's we're social animals.
If
but
everything's political.
That doesn't make it any less.
The word has little value. You know, if everything is material, then who cares? Why do we have to say, well, that's just material? Or that's just ideological, or that's just dualistic. You're like, then why are we talking? Why did you even define it as such? Unless
does anything matter? Nothing matters.
Actually,
it's kind of the same argument. Like,
the way that
matters. Sorry.
I'm thinking you're done. I'm sorry. I feel like a dick because I keep interrupting you when I think you're done.
I ramble.
We always interrupt Cedar. Don't worry about it.
I'm used to communication where I'm expected to be cut off, but I'll do.
This is our toxic masculinity.
No, that's growing up with siblings.
Yeah. Also, Cedar does a podcast with me, Bears, and Zach. Do you think she gets a word in edgeways?
Yeah, that extends in. If I want to talk, I gotta go. But continue with your point.
Well, I mean, the thing is, our dictionary is getting a little bit corrupted by cultural use of "were once literal." So
literal.
Let me give you an example. Well, I'm going to give you an example. It's a perfect example. I found out about this on Tucker Carlson, which he's great. But
Fox News, guys.
He's my favorite man on television. So
he watches Fox News. He's left wing now.
So here's the thing. So during the Senate hearing prior to her inauguration, for lack of a better term, Amy Coney Bennett used the term what was it? She said sexual preference. There we go. Which was a very common term before, because it just means which sex do you prefer, right? The question the senator asked her was, is there, and it was due to her Christian or Catholic heritage, right? They were concerned that due to her religious history, that she would enact policies and vote for policies that would be bad for gay people, right? And she said, and her response was, "I would never go forth with any behavior that would be bad towards people of certain sexual preference." That was all she said.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And then later on, another senator came on that was a female, and she said, "So you used the term sexual preference, which is deeply offensive because it implies." They said it implies that they are making a choice. So they now here's what they did. First of all, my first point is why she said that, because what are you going to say to that? Like she said, I don't want to hurt people based on sexual preference. Okay, if you disagree with that, you're a piece of shit, right? So they couldn't attack her based on that. So they changed the topic to the language that she used to say that. And
message coming in.
Oh yeah, they literally changed the meaning of sexual preference.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that was my second point. So first of all is understanding the tactic. They did it because they couldn't beat her at the argument. They wanted to make her look bad on TV. They couldn't do it because she said something that was quite good. So they changed the topic to the language that she used. And then my second point, which is the more important point right now, is that someone who works at Google went ahead on the dictionary on Google and modified the word preference and changed its definition to say that that saying sexual preference is offensive. So that's where a form of politics is actually distorting the way that we understand literal language in the dictionary.
My eyebrows.
It's not just that. Numerous articles from LGBT magazines and websites deleted the word sexual preference.
Yeah, but like they
positive headlines.
I didn't realize this. My eyebrows are in fucking orbit. What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so creepy.
What?
That's like creepy.
Are you looking in the mirror?
Yeah.
Right now?
Google, don't be evil. I know that they changed their slogan recently.
Your eyebrows are just flying up 50 feet from that, I know.
Yeah. Oh god.
They're just levitating to an entirely different dimension.
I don't have eyebrows anymore. They have phased into the third dimension. Wait.
Oh no.
We are in the third dimension.
We're in the fourth dimension.
We're in the 12th dimension.
Isn't it? It's time. We're or maybe that's like the sixth sense.
I don't know. See that? I've just woke up. I'm in no dimension.
All right, let's keep going. 210-505. Random question: what vehicle, real or not, would you like to be a transformer? And which side do you pick? Oh God. Who wants to take that?
Definitely Decepticons because they're all hotter. And
what?
Yeah, I would want to be Decepticon.
They're all just giant robots.
Awesome.
That's it.
Have you seen Megatron in the recent?
Wait a second. If you're an American, I guess you would love a guy who transforms into a big cannon.
So.
I want to transform into a Glock. Okay, I don't give a shit.
There's an anime for that.
Well, actually, originally, I don't. Was it Starscream? One of them transforms into a tank. It used to be a gun, but they changed it because it was a show for kids.
Yeah. Oh no! I know exactly what I'd transform.
Because blowing things up with a tank is a lot less violent than shooting a bullet.
Yeah.
Cloud in shape of gun flew over kindergarten playground. All students suspended.
I don't actually know what.
Thank you, Tim. We'll keep on going.
Associate manliness like courage and assertiveness and being a stone cold beer drinking badass. What? These traits obviously can be and often are exhibited by people who aren't biologically masculine. But in a society that usually favors and advantages men, it's not hard to imagine why traits involving power and dominance become associated
they always
with men.
do that.
Masculinity
they
becomes toxic when these
that.
traits are exhibited in a destructive
way.
They
say something like it's a given.
And this can manifest itself in a lot of different ways.
Like, because society hates women. And then he makes his point. Because men are shit. This is my point.
That is literally...
It's like, no, make another video explaining why men are shit so we can debunk it. And then we'll debunk it.
In a society built around power, okay? Like, every single fucking society, because power is the ultimate... Power is the ultimate goal of a lot of things at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're a hierarchical, family-oriented species. That's just natural. It's the same way in primates and fucking horses, most domesticated animals, chickens. The chickens, all they want is power, They'll fucking eat each other for power. Except turkeys. Domesticated turkeys will just eat themselves. Straight up, they do. They're so fucking stupid.
So anyway, his point was that the society is based to favor men.
But it's not. It's not.
In the male spaces, it is, but like, yeah.
Okay, society's built to favor men. Okay, family court, go. Tell me how that's designed to favor men.
It's only a small aspect, though. They're probably talking about.
Yeah, but okay, that's one spot. I'm sure people can say other ways, other things. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
I'm
no,
that's
false.
In that.
Yeah, okay, I'll find another one. In the workplace, sexual, HR, with say sexual harassment. How is that designed to help men?
I'd say it's an overcompensation as it is before because in the last.
Why is it overcompensation?
Because before, they would not take claims like that seriously, and they would prioritize the male position over what happened to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, they take absolutely everything.
So they go the opposite way. So it's now evolved into being,
message coming
more
in
for the woman. So for proving my point.
Okay, yeah. I suppose if we take out the history of it, and maybe in some spaces, it's still.
Well, this is what they're doing. They're just taking the history out of it and say because we don't know history.
Andrew Clark's making me laugh.
Oh, yeah. The HR systems as they are now.
The systems we have now have been designed over centuries.
Right? The ones favoring women only kind of popped up in the last 15 years, though.
Women's not really.
And taking like workplace sexual harassment seriously hasn't been a thing up until the last 15 years.
Well, it did exist before, hadn't?
The fact
that there's been scummy people.
I just want the YouTuber to give us examples of what he's referring to when he makes broad statements like society favors men.
Society.
Pretty big statement.
Well, this is what I mean. I'm trying to give examples here more than what he's doing. This is his video.
Yeah, and like we're doing this off the top of our head. This is a video he's prepared, and he doesn't have it. And like, I can make an argument for or against, but in general, which is so vague,
message coming
doesn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm. Patching it through.
All right,
and like I will also say straight up that maybe like from my own education of what they spew, that I'm just outright accepting it. I haven't gone and looked at these things independently. Really, I'm just going off of what I've recalled. So
you have to remember that. Obviously, I'm talking about from the UK. In the UK, we've had equality acts since the 60s between men and women that were ahead of their time, a hell of a lot ahead of their time.
I think I do remember that you were more feminist than America was.
With stuff, yeah, and also even going
you had female battery shelters before America did.
Yeah, we had. One of the main reasons was during the Second World War, when the men were fighting, the women were doing all the work and being paid equally. Obviously, they stopped doing it when the wars were over, but the women kept protesting, and each time got a little bit more and a little bit more. So
yeah, because the job market oversaturated once they all came back from war.
Well, not for us.
Well, I guess maybe in Europe there's a whole generation of men that are completely gone from that conflict, but in America, it got flooded.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get back to the super chats. Andrew Clark, I hear lobsters have something to do with this. If you look at the response from people like Jordan Peterson, who writes books
align society
for people
by the ways
and
of
for
the lobsters,
young men or men, people in general who are having problems adapting to society or life or growing up. Yes, I can see why they might not like his response to what's been happening the past 30 years to young men and women. So it's interesting, though, that he wrote that book in general. He didn't write it for men, but that just happens to be the people who are dispossessed and require that little level of attention and learning to get on with their life. So
it really is.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. They're angry at him because men have gone to him to get help.
Which I don't understand at all.
That's the reason. That's the reason they're angry at it. It's one of those things like we want men to help. We want to help men. Oh, but not like that.
It's interesting
they don't want to
because
help them. They want
students are women.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter really from what background. Everyone has a problem in some country, some culture, whatever. But when we're talking about toxic masculinity and how it came about, we're talking about the mytho-poetic men's movement of the 80s and 90s, where these men thought men were too masculine. They had to be more kinder and open, and they were using Jungian philosophies and this and that, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I remember the psychologists and psychiatrists from the 70s, the books that they wrote, they were talking about almost the same stuff. And whether you call that a self-help book or some aspect of psychosis or neurosis that you're not healthy about, I didn't see these people getting attacked, and they were great. They had also a Dr. Dwayne W. Dyer. He wrote a book. I think it was 10 rules or 12 rules. I can't remember exactly what they were, but pretty much the same format as Peterson's book, same concepts, and it was actually a really good book. It was the first one he published. He published like 12 or so, and he's been doing. Oh, he's gone now, but he's been providing like a form of medicine in a sense for people with problems. And nothing was said about this guy. He had a gigantic family, had a beautiful wife. He toured the U.S. and the rest of Europe, and he was on PBS all the time. He was always doing things, meeting people and helping people, just like Peterson. So I never saw any problem with. I don't really care what your philosophy is. If you're helping people, whether it's religious style or psychology or philosophy, it doesn't really matter to me. You're going around and you're teaching and meeting people and helping them. That's a great thing. So I don't understand the response to people like Peterson or even anyone with a YouTube channel just talking about self-help and philosophy. It seems rather counterintuitive of the time.
Yeah, and Peterson even stresses that. He even stresses that too, because like he's like, this is information that we've had for the past 30 to 50 years. So he's like, it's almost like we're devolving when we start speaking against it. And it's because our public speech has been invaded by nihilists and postmodernists. So this is a generally new thing.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're just running backwards while looking ahead. Like a guy looking in the future, like, oh, there's Land Ho, and then running as fast as they can the other direction, not looking where they're going.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's getting to the point where a person could stop someone jumping off a bridge, and the first thing the crowd will do is run up and say, "So what's your political ideology?" to the guy who they saved.
Oh no, they don't even ask; they just project. It doesn't matter what they say.
But what
they
I'm
won't
saying
even
is
take
that's
the
what it feels like.
courtesy of asking.
Yeah, but that's what it feels like it's getting to the point where it's like, it's not the good deed, it's the ideology behind it.
Well, that's why they use that creepy term, is that they say, like, oh, we care about black bodies. We care about LGBT bodies. Like, that's the creepiest thing ever. They say it a lot on Tumblr, but, like, these are people. These aren't bodies. But that they don't care about the people. They care about the number of bodies they can put into whatever movement. And it literally, it makes me feel gross inside and creepy and crawly, like.
It makes me like very uncomfortable.
It's like viscerally uncomfortable because of how dehumanizing it is. That's what I feel like they would say about the fucking.
Yes, and I know where you go with that.
Yeah, but also.
All right, here is Irina Truganev. This is a very Russian name. Thank you. Honest question. In the near future, do you think asking someone the gender they're born with will become a crime?
It already is.
No, I don't think so. We've had some word police problems in Canada. They're on the books now. So you technically can be fined with not using proper pronouns, but no one's going to enforce that. It would have to be some super sensitive twit who demands to be called this or that.
It is ma'am!
Whatever the case might be, and the other person says no, and then that would call into question a lawyer. But you're talking about the damages of what though? Like, what would a lawyer do? So there's really nothing about that would happen.
Yeah, once the problem is going to court, and proving the stuff. That's where they can
put all these... to the court. That's like crazy. It's like, I didn't know the pronoun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
But you can go to court for a lot of things.
Yes,
the judge will throw it out.
You'll be surprised.
The judge will throw it out and say, how did you get hurt? Like, did you skip like some sort of windfall of money because this person spent the extra 10 seconds to not call you the proper pronoun? Like, what happened that you're suing them? So, no, I don't think that's ever going to occur. I will say that in society, certain cultures look favorably to boys being born in general. I have heard of that. In China, that's a thing. So... Not a legal thing.
It is.
Yeah, not a legal thing, but definitely a favorability towards certain genders over others.
I realized straight, white, cis, Christian man bad. That's a place you could put it. I have it open in Paint, and I'm looking over, and I'm like, yep. Put one down for that one.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Overarching theme.
The most definition of toxic masculinity is the idea of a real man and the irrational aversion to characteristics deemed not masculine. Sometimes this is a relatively minor offense, such as a guy making fun of his friend for ordering a fruity drink or enjoying a romantic comedy, like When Harry Met Sally, the greatest rom-com of all time. Billy Crystal, the God. But this can also be more harmful to an individual or the people around them. For example, some people feel that avoiding challenges or confrontations is a sign of weakness and might engage in aggressive or dangerous behavior to avoid seeming vulnerable or cowardly. Things that are considered not manly are usually traits that are associated with...
The reason that men do that is it's a form of bantering. You mess around, you give each other shit because you're testing each other.
It's a simple banter between like males. Yeah.
You've never had
a situation where you've seen someone being
serious?
Well, okay, I'm going to give you an example. This is one, I'm going to steal it from Peterson. So he said that there was this guy that he knew called Lunch Bucket that worked at like a construction site or something. And just to, the reason they called him Lunch Bucket was because he came in with this big fancy lunchbox, which was a big mistake. And they made fun of it. And then instead of taking it with a smile, he got really bent out of shape. So they're like, oh, okay, this is going to be his nickname then because he got very bent out of shape. We're going to fuck with him, right? So now just to see how he was always peevish and complaining and all that. Like, he would never take any work and just do it. He always had to complain. And so, just to test him, like, they would throw little stones at his hard hat to see how he would react. Because, you know, they're like, okay, we know this guy's, you know, kind of cowardly, but let's see how far we can go. Let's see if he takes this well. Clunk. And every time they did it, he would get very, very angry. And then he ended up leaving the work site and didn't work there anymore. And it's like, okay, can you, you know, can you take this with a smile? No. Okay. How about this? All right. Does this annoy you? All right. I want to see what this does to you. It's actually deeply psychological, specifically with men. And it's like, okay, so can you be competent without complaining about it? Can you be competent at all? Can you at least be amusing? No? Well, then you're out of here because we don't know when we'll really need you for something. So I know that's a far way to take it, but it's an extremely minor version of that.
They're just harassing him?
No. They're not following him around and harassing him. It's when he would come to the work site, they would do these little things just to see how he would respond to it. Now, the way a normal guy would react, like, okay, how would I react generally if I'm at a work site, if I'm at a construction site or a warehouse, and a guy throws a stone at my hard hat and he hits me, I would probably laugh and be like, you dick, and then I would throw one too. That's being one of the guys. That's what you're supposed to do. That's being one of the guys. There's a human element to it. There's a human element to it. Well, he's wearing a hard hat. If he wasn't wearing a hard hat, I doubt they would do it. They're just doing it to fuck with him, right? So, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be like, you dick, and then you're supposed to be a dick back, and then everybody has a good laugh about it, and then you get back to being competent and getting back to work. That's called being a guy.
Yeah.
That's a form of bonding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm drawing out the...
That's actually a good way of putting it, yes.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. One thing that my friends will always say to anybody who's, like, new, say on a night out, they'll always say, listen, if Hawk doesn't insult you once during the night, it means he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
No, because if I insult, not like insult, but like, I mean, like, it's like a jokey sort of thing. If I don't do that, that means I'm not comfortable around you because I don't know what to say because you come off as standoffish and you don't fit it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose. With
So
more,
a lot of guys, a lot of guys will do it. Banter is a very good way to like break the ice.
Yeah.
And get comfortable with each other, but also to know where the limit is of what you can do, so you can understand each other quite well. And it helps you understand your friends very, very well, because then you can know if something's wrong with them.
And so if someone has a short limit, you don't really want to put up with them, because then I guess they would have a short.
Yeah, because
I guess it would reflect that they have a low tolerance for stress.
Yeah, and you wouldn't. And would they have your back with stuff? Because if they get really angry with just a simple thing, what could set them off? Do you know what I mean?
It's something where you really
banter is done to stop walking on eggshells. That's why I feel banter.
This is actually my personal experience. In my experience, the more peevish a person is, the more likely they are to abandon you in a time of significant need.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Experience.
Okay.
I think of like the female equivalent, but we can move on because this is about men.
Let's listen to Tyler Preston
there are
here.
plenty of female equivalents, but we'll be here all day.
This is this is in regards to all the various people we've been covering on Smudcast. Maggie Mae Fish is our most popular, and he's going to tell us that she's made a new video, how Devilman Crybaby, how toxic masculinity causes the apocalypse. Also remember the male tears mugs. Oh dear. So what I was thinking of doing, and this is just my own suggestion.
It's not what that show is about.
No. It's an anime. It's totally different than Maggie
I love that. I love Devilman Crybaby.
Well, anyway, I was thinking of making a Smudcast voting just for Maggie Mae Fish videos because we do it every month. Instead of me just always nagging Dunn, and Dunn just, do this one now. I'm like, okay, fine. So we do have 2 on queue. I do have already 3. Now I had 2, now I have 3 as a result of Maggie Mae Fish making excellent content. So I'll probably just add a actual voting channel, and then we could figure out per month for the rest of the year what to cover. So
you need a month for covering.
Sorry about that.
Maybe one day she will unblock you.
Maybe she will unblock me. I don't know. We love Maggie Mae Fish. She's amazing. And
I'm still not blocked. I'm still not blocked by her. I love seeing her content on Twitter.
Never checked.
Well, we'll get there eventually.
Wait, on Twitter? I don't have Twitter. Fuck Twitter.
I want to keep going because we've already passed the 1 hour mark, and we're not even
all
right, let's get
halfway
done
this.
Going.
Short video, my ass.
Another big problem with toxic masculinity, which is when we describe the relationship between men and women as competitive or adversarial. You know, stuff like men and women will never understand each other, or men and women can never really be friends. Speaking of When Harry Met Sally, I mean, this idea is the source material for roughly 50% of stand-up comedy. My wife is mean to me. This kind of masculinity goes hand in hand with heterosexuality.
For the longest time, I thought like his shirt was saying "dust it."
Assertiveness. Naturally, this can lead to
that was what I
What does it say?
Is
that just?
What does it actually say?
Oh my god! Who's breaking right now?
Oh, that's just. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
JUS. That makes more sense. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, but honestly, it looks like tits from here.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with tits.
Yeah.
No, I thought that too when we first started.
All right.
Maybe he was wearing the T-shirt for toxic masculinity.
But just to say, men and women won't understand each other. I think that might be a true thing. We really don't really understand each other.
It takes a great deal of effort.
Message coming in.
Well,
it's not true.
As in, what I mean is, while we talked about banter, Cedar there was like, what you mean, like harassing somebody? It's like, no. This is what we mean by it. So, men and women can understand each other, but off the cuff, I don't think we can.
There's a reason for that. I'm going to try to articulate it, although I don't think I'm qualified to. I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm only going to give it a minute, Smud. So, Smud, tell me when it's been a minute, and then I'll shut up. So, because we got to finish this. But so when a man is engaging in conversation with another man, you're in peer mode because you see that other guy as someone who's similar to you and therefore someone you can engage with. When you're around a beautiful woman, it can be shocking because you're starting to become vulnerable, where it's like you're seeing something beautiful, which means that's something that you might not be capable of engaging with. But you try to anyway because that's life. And what the woman does is what women tend to do, especially in basically any society, is they enter evaluation mode where they want to judge this guy based on something that I would call competence. So that's why there can be some miscommunication there, because you can be one person trying to combat the feelings of vulnerability and the other person that doesn't even realize how much they're evaluating this guy, because I think this is something that occurs a lot in adolescence. But all right, let's go.
I just treat everyone as my lesser, so I don't understand what you're about here.
All right, time's up.
When it comes to conversation.
That was our minute. We got it. Okay, great. Let's keep going. We have a donation and a super chat. Thank you. Taker610. Here we go. If the gays have no preference, surely that means no choice. Their sexuality is forced on them. I think by virtue of being gay, you do have a preference, but okay. That being the case, how could you consent? Sounds a bit problematic to me. Stay safe in those ridiculous lockdowns in the UK and Canada. Yeah, that's a loaded series of ideas there. Taker?
That's a whole video in of itself of ideas.
Yes.
Let's focus on...
Because there's so much to unpack in there.
Let's focus just on the concept of toxic masculinity, not toxic masculinity for gays. That would be really confusing.
For gays, and he's also challenging the born this way narrative. Is sexuality completely inherent, or is it somewhat nurture?
That would take...
as well as nature.
That would take some research. So we're not... I'm not capable of answering those questions. But anyway, thank you for the the donation. Here is Tyler Preston. If it's not a real Maggie video, it's a joke you made up. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll delete that from the list.
Damn, I was excited.
I thought it was. That sounded pretty accurate to me. That's what she would say.
The kind of shit that Maggie releases, I thought that's like a legit video.
I thought it was real, and now I'm told it's not real. I'm like, phew, God, just turn to my noose. Not today, friend.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. I'm gonna make.
Alex Halo, Gilgamesh, you're all below me, mongrels. Yeah, we know.
Gilgamesh
I don't know why people like Gilgamesh. He's such a dick.
It is the best. It's the best way to interact with people. It's treating everyone equally.
Equally lesser.
Equally beneath you. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you throwing shade on my man Gilgamesh and his totally heterosexual buddy boy Enkidu?
Oh God.
Yes.
Toxic masculinity. Thy name is Gilgamesh. Let's just keep going.
Type relationship with women. And this is an unfortunate setup, especially when it comes to sex and romance, because it can lead to men seeing women as a prize or a conquest rather than a human equal, and feeling entitled to romantic or sexual gratification just by virtue of being a man.
Okay, wait a second. What's wrong with seeing a woman as a woman, not an equal, but as a woman, and the woman seeing the man as a man, not an equal? What's wrong with that? If that's the relationship... That's the relationship. Who am I to say that's right or wrong? That's not my business.
Again, he's not going to give us examples for this, so
if you're a male and you get a trophy wife and she knows she's a trophy wife, guess what? They've agreed on a relationship, or whatever the relationship might be. Like who am I to say that's right or wrong? That's their happiness. That's their lifestyle.
What if she isn't?
Well, there's plenty of unattractive people that we look at. We go, "What the heck's going on there?" But they're happy, so hey, it's working for them.
Well, they're happy, but yeah. But
also, what happens if the two people don't see them? Like, say, the husband doesn't see the woman as a trophy wife, but other people see her as a trophy wife. Where's toxic masculinity then? It's not coming from the relationship; it's coming from outside the relationship.
Usually around that thing that would be toxic femininity, where and there is a thing where women get judged for not being feminist enough if they take up traditional roles. And in the case of like
but here's the thing. Once again, just off the top of my head, I managed to prove his point wrong.
to your microphone.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cedar's boyfriend, sickening.
All right, we're halfway done, guys. Let's try and keep the pace going. We got a second video to go through.
Then leads to feeling inadequate or disgruntled if they're not as successful at that as they'd like to be. Now, the examples so far have been kind of tame, but this can lead to terrible circumstances like domestic abuse and sexual assault, and even the murder of innocent people. Because of the strong connection of these ideas of masculinity to heterosexuality,
like there isn't an example of this on the female side
of these attitudes. Being a gay man is often erroneously equated to being a feminine man, and thus is rejected by this mindset. Now, this is not supposed to be an attack on men. Yes, sometimes these attitudes cause men to behave badly, but toxic masculinity also indirectly harms men themselves. For example, men literally die earlier on average than women do, and are more.
Wow, what a
but that's biological. You've got to fucking you don't. No, shut the fuck up.
Is it that men are less likely to take care of themselves like a woman would?
No.
Actually,
the way
that is part of it. That actually is part of it. Yes.
Yeah, but there's also due to the fact that women have to carry children, female bodies have got more protection.
That's true. Fucking birth is out to kill women.
Bear in mind, dying earlier is usually only like 3. It's only like 3 years earlier. It's like 2 or 3 years earlier. It's not like men live till 40 and women live till 170. It's not like that. It's like I think the average life expectancy UK is 78 for men and 81 for women.
Yeah, and I bet gang-related deaths probably kind of skew that. So people
but women get killed with other things.
They get killed with other things, but like actively seek. I don't know. That's the first idea that I think that would kind of lower the average down for men.
Okay, yeah, but war. Okay.
And war. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the thing we're perpetually in
that big
American.
But in a normal peacetime death rate, it's there's a lot of things other than toxic masculinity is not the sole reason for men dying younger than women. And that's a stupid thing to say.
It's empty and worthless because it's not specific at all.
Yeah.
More likely to get diseases like cancer. And this is partially due to men's increased likelihood to ignore concerns about their health because of pride or perceived invincibility.
How?
Men are more likely to ignore their health concerns.
Does anyone have the stats?
That's just an American thing, bruh.
You can get toxic masculinity causes cancer.
Yeah, let's get the stats on rates of cancer in men and what kind of cancer that is caused by their uninterest to go see a doctor because they're too prideful. That's a very strange thing to
It's also very specific. It depends on. So okay, here's the thing. So it depends on the individual's level of conscientiousness. This is more of a personality thing than a male versus female thing, because like some men are more conscientious about work than health. Other men are more conscientious about health than work. That being said, men are more likely than women to be conscientious, whereas women are more likely to be more agreeable and family oriented. So this is a very, very, very overgeneralized observation.
I mean, you could
it's asinine.
You could make an argument.
I feel like a jackass just for hearing it.
Yeah, you could make an argument based off men being more alcoholics, so therefore they might develop liver cancer or other sort of cancers related to that disease because that's just how they.
Smoking? Would there be more men?
Yeah, whatever the sociability of men would be because they're aggressive and they're strong, and I'm going to drink a lot and I'm going to smoke a lot and whatever. Okay, maybe.
The irony of that is I think there's more female alcoholics in the UK than male alcoholics.
Do they like their scotch?
That's because drinking is sexy.
Or they just drink wine, but yeah.
But they get a lot, especially in my town. The vast majority of people going to the local AA group are women.
That's probably because women are more likely to reach out for help too.
Yeah.
I've seen it as a thing. Men absolutely do not like coming out into like social groups and therapies.
I can understand that. I'm just saying from my my experience.
Yeah, but also the thing about like generalizations like these is that it takes into account billions of people, all with different backgrounds for different reasons for doing things. Yeah,
precise.
7 billion. Cut that in half. Why would they do it? There's so many lives, so many different reasons for having these things happen. Why wouldn't they go to the doctor? Maybe they're in America, they don't have insurance, or maybe they've had a bad experience with a doctor that dismissed their pain and it was a bigger issue. Like, I see a lot of stories on TikToks where doctors will come up and say absolute bullshit to these women, like they'll have fucking cancer, and they're like, no, I think that's kind of in your head. You go get some therapy. It probably happens to men. Yeah, it happened. Like female pain is dismissed a lot. I don't know why at all. I haven't heard as many men telling these stories. Maybe they just don't come out with their troubles the same way.
Trust me, I go to doctors constantly with female pains.
The thing is, I've heard something. I feel like this is an overgeneralization, but I still think it's a useful one, at least. I have heard something about that, how because male doctors are more used to working with male patients, they'll look at certain things. Well, what I mean is, it could be the way that the patient is expressing their issue. It could be the way that their patient is expressing the issue, combined with the fact that they're used to dealing with male biology and male behaviors. So that could probably increase likelihood of misinterpretation.
Yeah, they probably just don't like how whiny women are, but we'll keep going with this. That could be like a topic we do just chat about. Would be cool.
Yeah.
Men also have high rates of drug addiction and homelessness due to increased risk taking. And as mentioned, this also
they have higher risk of homelessness because there's more resources for women to stop being homeless.
Yeah. Yes.
Affects how society sees and treats men. People, including men and women and everybody else, often hold men to a standard that some people feel that they can't achieve.
Women, and everyone else. the flying monkeys, or do men and women and the others?
Don't you know? It's the people.
Okay, the men and women
than women and get harsher punishments for the same crimes. And this is probably because of the perception of men as naturally more dangerous and violent.
I wonder why that perception is permanent in society.
You know what that might be called? Benevolent sexism.
I would say that's
you are stretching here, mate. And I know for a fact at the end of this video, you're gonna do like you did at the end of your last video. Now, I'm not saying that toxic masculinity does exist or it doesn't exist, but you know, just
it's only a theory.
In my opinion,
a socio-political theory.
I know he's going to go to the middle road.
There's no legal definition for the rape of a man because of the perception of men being the aggressors and dominators.
No, it's because they don't want to include men into the definition. I don't know why they want to disenfranchise men by describing rape as something that can't be forced to penetrate. It's not because they're more violent, it's just because they're straight up excluded for no reason except the only reason I can come up is that they fucking hate men. That's the
they do. They do. A lot. They do. They just hate men.
And the only reason I'm saying this is because they proclaim it from the fucking rooftops. They write books about it that get published. They write scientific articles about how much they fucking hate men. That's the only reason, not because they're aggressive, just that they hate them. Like it happened in India, where they were actually about to change the laws to include forced to penetrate as a form of rape, and the feminist lobby killed it.
Which is ironic, considering the crap that happens in India.
Yeah.
Because they've got a lot of problems.
They do. I follow a lovely lady on Tumblr that goes about like India-specific issues that I find interesting. And that's where I got that from.
So men who raped are unable to seek proper legal recourse. And the combination of the fact that men are less likely to seek help for these issues and the fact that society often perceives men as not needing help, it leads to a cyclical issue. So it's not only important for men to take the initiative to try and unlearn some of this condition.
Wait, he just pointed out an issue and he's going, so it's men's responsibility to stop being dicks. It's not that there's a societal systemic problem that everyone has to address.
And they have
he was referring specifically to the target of rape.
On the receiving end of something negative, they're seen to be responsible for it.
Yeah, this is nothing but negative because this is seen mostly by lobbying of women. It's suppressed because they tried. I remember the fucking early days of 2015 where they had men's rallies and whatnot. They got killed, protested that they were trying to address issues like these, and they just weren't. For what reason? Why?
The thing is, it seems to me that it isn't really up to. It isn't up to men to defend themselves at this point because we can't. It's considered sexist to defend yourself against points like this. So what do? Well, it seems to me that the only direct mode of attack, per se, is that women start to combat their crazed sisters. But the problem is that the women that aren't crazy are too busy being competent. They're too busy taking care of their families, or they're too busy working to waste their time doing shit like this. And what are the odds that a competent woman that isn't a nut job is going to be in a position to make a public statement about this? It's next to none.
Oof. Yeah.
It's also very risky, and I will say that women are less risk averse. They're more risk averse. It takes a special type of person, but also a special type of woman to really go out on a limb like that. I say that as a personal experience of knowing all of my women friends who are career oriented, and we have to constantly deal with about being too cautious. And so a competent woman is probably not going to as easily go against the grain here.
Yeah.
Because fuck it, it's fucking pointless. I mean, I don't want to stand on the rooftops and call these bitches out because half the time they fucking know. Deep down, they know, and it's honestly a waste of time. I think the biggest defense is to not even give them the time of day, to not give them the power, because the only power they have is that people listen to them. And that's the scary perceived power, is that so many powerful people think they have to listen to them.
And that's why I don't listen to women.
Shut the fuck up.
What?
It's a scary issue because a lot of the times, a lot of this power is coming from things that just, I don't know, me as a small person, I just work in graphic design. I can't really do anything about it because there's these men that are in, like, credit card companies that are shutting down dissenting voices because they've listened to this Reddit.
If you're not a top tree Don on Warlock.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was saying something he's talking about.
Why is he so far away?
What, my boyfriend?
All right.
Oh, that explains everything.
Let's keep going.
But we also, as a society, have to create spaces for men to openly talk about the things they're dealing with and actually be heard. Now, I don't think there's a problem with the concept of manhood or masculinity. The problem is when we have these rigid, one-dimensional definitions that cause people to overcompensate in order to prove their manliness. And when we include problematic traits into our definition of manliness, like violence and hubris. Personally, being a man is an important part of my identity. But I want to express my masculinity in a way that feels right to me. And our society has to get better at providing an opportunity for more people to do that. That's just me, though.
All right, I'll agree with.
Oh, that's what
t-shirt.
I have got t-shirts for sale once
again. Oh my god, he's done it again! He's done it again!
You did call it. Yeah, you called it.
I called it! He went that shit down the middle again. That's just
for more people to do.
How about we have a society that allows us to be masculine, period,
what do you think?
Instead of a bunch of pussies?
Thank you for watching my video. I have got t-shirts.
I'm fully behind Hawk that, like, the pubs are the place where we need to discuss things.
The pubs.
Yeah. No, but the pubs are where men go and talk to each other.
And ever since
I'm
the
just laughing
lockdown,
at you saying the
toxic
pubs.
masculinity has run rampant.
Pubs, yeah. Listen. I'm British. Well, I'm not gonna. Sorry, at the cocktail bar.
The cocktail bar. What the fuck? This ain't aristocratic.
Not the pub.
Whatever.
Hashtag reopen the pubs.
Oh god, you don't know how long I've been wanting to go back to a bar.
No, but men do. But like I say, men do have areas. It's just the fact that these feminist women want to come into these areas as well, and then the men get pushed out.
They don't want equality, because if they wanted equality, they would want less men in prison. They don't want that. They would want less men committing suicide. God forbid that, right? They don't want women to be laying bricks with men, because even though men take up most of that opportunity, God forbid women did that too. It's because they don't want equality. What they really want is for women to have more power. And if men having less power is a consequence of that, so be it.
Yeah. All right, basically. So that
I love that statistic where it was like 30% of women commit suicide. I'm like, who's that other 70 then?
Yeah, I was actually in a class, in a psychology class, and my professor said, like, so women are more likely to become depressed than men, but men are more likely to commit suicide. I was like, how does that make sense? I was like, unless men are happily committing suicide, what you just said makes no sense.
Makes bold claim with no evidence.
No,
by the way, I just want to say,
that was actually
nothing of value on the
year.
bingo.
Oh, yeah.
That was explained in first year psych as well, because they talk about the personality traits of male and female to be.
I guess he wasn't really specifically talking
Sorry,
about
what?
America. Oh, I'm just looking at the bingo card.
Yeah, no. Obviously, the topic was toxic masculinity. He was rambling most of the time, but I wouldn't say in a sense that was just like blah, blah, blah. He was on the topic. He was just not giving enough evidence. So he was like making bold, general statements. And you're like, oh, okay. So didn't like that too much. The whole white man or whatever culture this is from was the idea. So it kind of worked well together.
Oh, throw shade at... no, it's not. I thought I was going to say throw shade at Peterson, but we brought...
No,
Peterson
not really.
Yeah, we brought Peterson up.
He did bring up the issues of gay men for whatever reason. He didn't really expand.
Is that LBG shit where there ain't any?
Yeah, he brought that up for whatever reason, how we see gays as bad because they're male or whatever. It's like, that's not right. We don't care. We don't look at men who are gay and say, oh, they're just a bunch of Nancy boys. It's like, no, there's perfectly normal masculine men who are attracted to other masculine men. That's totally fine. So I don't get that. And he's problematic. I heard it near the end. So
yay.
Yeah, I've also done the says nothing of was it nothing of
value.
Nothing of value.
This was made in 2017.
Because at the end of it, he says he literally just goes down the middle again. So everything he said was like, well, you can sort that out, or you can't sort that out, but I'm just going to be in the middle again. It's like, okay.
Oh, next bold claim without evidence. There we go.
All right. Well, no bingo for tonight, but that's I'm surprised the last two parts of his, or the last fifth or sixth of his video is just him selling his merch. I'm like, geez, come on, man.
I know. It's oh, that means we could skip it.
Yeah. All right. On to the next video. Here we go. This is what should have taken most of our time.
The Matrix is bursting at the seams with
Marxism in the Matrix.
All right.
Oh,
shush.
Oh, no.
And while the allusions to Neo's role as a prophet for the digital age have been discussed for decades, if you are willing to go down the rabbit hole, we can see the Matrix in a whole new way by looking at it through a Marxist lens.
You take the red pill.
Oh, tell me.
Stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Let's delve into Marxism and the Matrix.
Damn. Keanu Reeves is young.
To understand how the Matrix lines up with Marxist criticism, we have to first understand Marxist theory. Marxism is all about the relationship between different classes in society. Most importantly, it's about the relationship between the ruling class and the working class. The way society is structured, according to Karl Marx, shapes how the ruling and working classes interact. Their relationship changes depending on the way society's economy is structured. The arrangement of society's economy is known as the base in Marxist theories. The structure of the base for any society is important because it determines the shape of society's superstructure, the fundamental part of Marxist theory. The superstructure, in essence, is the ideology of a society, what it believes and how it understands things. How a society treats individuals, responds to events, and recounts its history is all derived from the ideology of the superstructure, which is in turn created by the economic base. That ideology, as Marx sees it, always reflects the views of the dominant class. As well as this, that ideology is there to suppress rebellion against the dominant class. The superstructure puts this ideology in books, television, music, news, all kinds of media.
I'm a dog.
Okay, so
after a big cat.
What's the superstructure? I'm trying to follow his explanation. I kind of vaguely know what Marxism is, but his explanation's completely lost me.
I thought he was going to
What
give...
is the superstructure?
Yeah,
Did he not explain what it is?
I thought he was going to give the Hegelian dialectic reversal, but now he's actually talking about economics. So I was like, all right, that's fine. I don't know how that's going to work to the Matrix, but the concept of the base is the working class and the people who are in charge, you can call that the aristocracy, you can call that the politicians. It doesn't really matter. That's where we get all of our beliefs
That was a
from.
veiled Jew theory. Like he was calling them something else, but he was basically talking about the Jews.
Oh, really?
That might be completely made up.
Okay.
Marx, the guy.
I don't know. I thought someone here would know.
Don't look at me. I'm an alt-right leftist. I'm not a monster.
All right. Anyway,
but you should be a monster.
Capitalism's base from a Marxist lens is structured with workers as a commodity that are used by the upper class for their personal gains. Because of this, all media created by a capitalist society aims to subdue resistance to this power structure. 8-bit Wisecrack has a great video explaining the nature of Marxism and more depth on the topic, and more. But what does all of this have to do with The Matrix? The Matrix's story is all about noticing and rebelling against society's superstructure. The journey that Neo takes with Morpheus pulls away the curtain of the Matrix.
Some of the chat would like you to turn up the video's volume.
That is one.
This is as high as it goes.
Just letting you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's very low. Yeah, even I've boosted my volume to hear it. So, yeah, this is literally as high as it goes.
Yeah.
It's
being quiet, but at this point, he's just kind of.
I'm still trying to get what the fuck he's actually driveling on about, because I don't know.
So he's
that was such a short explanation for Marxist theory.
Yeah, it was such a short explanation that missed out a hell of a lot of things.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
Superstructure had like a 10-second explanation, and then anyway, what is it? The relationship with the Matrix. Like,
bear in mind, you can easily say about the people at the top who do the superstructure in Marxism, control books, media, and everything, and sets.
Yeah, so the general idea is that the base is the means of production where all the workers are, and the people in the superstructure are those who create art and family life and the laws, the media. They're the general ideology of the culture that you're in. So each one influences the other.
So
you first talk.
Middle class?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he said that for obviously capitalism, because he was making out that as an elite. But yeah, you could easily use that superstructure for Marxism as well. There's no difference. There's still an elite in Marxism. Sorry to break all those soy boy university student hearts.
It gets really confusing.
Marxism and socialism. There's still an elite.
Yeah,
it only works in a small community where you can be emotionally invested in each member, and that's the only way you can treat it.
Jamestown is a wonderful example of a small communism. They starved to death.
But I'm just thinking in general, in there's a show where they're recreating a historical colonial town, and they had communal food that was distributed equally, and they were all neighbors. There was only 12 of them because they all cared enough about each other. But in a big,
well, that's also a TV show where they're not going to let the people actually.
That's fair. They're not actually.
That ends after so long. They go home at the end of that.
Yeah, they were only doing it for 3 months, but fair. Okay, point percent.
No, Jamestown was. I think it's 1605. I think it was, or something. Was an attempt at not communist society, but it could be like a proto-communist society, and it started off well, but then everyone just stopped working because no one had the drive to do it, because they were still getting food no matter how little they did. But then everyone started running out of food.
Oh yeah.
No. As in, a couple of hard-working people were just producing enough food for everybody, but then the hard-working people stopped because they didn't find it fair, and they pretty much nearly all starved. So
yeah, it's I guess man, you can't even do it with like a 2-roommate system. One of them cleans up the apartment all the time, the other one doesn't, and that breaks down so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, the vicious thing.
Yep.
It's so beautiful.
All right, I want to see this connection between this economic power struggle and the Matrix.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of between the Matrix and Marxism is when Neo wakes up and he looks out on the robots in the desolate wasteland. Okay, that looks like what happens under Marxism. That's about
yes, that's exactly that's what happened in Ukraine. Like, they had a famine.
Yeah,
It's
so
so
here's
bad.
my prediction about why it's connected with the Matrix, is because the Matrix is about waking up and seeing a new light about things around you, and it's just generic. It's just about the journey of that. The previous definition,
revolution.
Yeah, it's basically about revolution. That's what it's going to be about. And so this person experienced their worldview is one way, and then they took the red pill. They saw the light and the secret that no one else wants to choose, and goes to the other thing. It's just that they're projecting what the before and after is.
Yeah.
Which anyone can do because the right does it too.
Yeah, we've heard the allegory that the Matrix is an allegory for transsexual change.
It
We have
can
the allegory
be,
of the cave.
It's about the experience of finding the truth and rejecting a narrative, and whatever it is can just be applied to anything. That's what makes it a good story.
Yeah, did you Smud, did you read that that official Netflix Twitter post about how
I think that's reference, yeah.
How in bullet time in the Matrix, when he dodges the bullets, it's an allegory for the hurdles that transsexual people have to go through.
Oh my god!
Wait, what?
That's coming from the director.
Message coming in.
The producer.
Patching it through.
Dodging the book.
Yes. Yes.
But I doubt that if you look into any of those making of document like that would mention any of this shit.
What it was a cool scene for a 90s movie that they went, that looks cool, we can put that in a trailer.
They want to take everything.
It was just flexing their technology. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Designers do
cool
it all the
scene.
time.
Yeah.
Look what the fuck I can do, man. Doesn't this look fucking
No,
sweet?
statement about hormonal therapy.
We should just ask Keanu, what that scene was about, Keanu.
If you don't
Please
think
tell us.
it was about hormonal therapy,
you're breathtaking.
No, every time
you can't just keep using that as keep just using that as an answer. You're breathtaking. No, Keanu, give us an actual answer.
I do know there was an interview with one of the Wachowski sisters about that. I didn't watch it all because it was ridiculous, but the fact that they even said that, it's very similar to J.K. Rowling talking about Dumbledore. It's the same concept. So
no, Smud is right. She does go back and mention all these things, which is very strange. It's just I hate the fact that Harry Potter again.
Well, no, that's just the example of the creator saying something about what they made in inventing crap, and there was the opportunity. I will say there was the opportunity to actually have another allegory aside from the allegory of the cave from Plato about a actual trans character, and we saw that person who was wearing the white suit. I think when she was in the Matrix.
Black suit. Yeah,
that was like okay, that's interesting maybe, and she was kind of. Not androgynous, but kind of non-feminine in certain ways. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But that's as far as it went. It was just a look.
Yep.
So anyway, Dollface, hey, thanks for the 10. The ideology of the superstructure exists to suppress rebellion against the dominant class. I think he actually said
Message
that.
coming in.
I know this because
I
had this really great socialist professor. Yeah, so you're right.
I have a professor became friends with it. He has a bust of Marx in his office, intentionally because it makes the students upset. Because they're like, "Do you know who he is?" It just reminded me of him.
Oh boy, that here is pretty noticeable. But anyway, not Alfarius. Hey, thanks again. The spoon is a social construct. Oh God. Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. Arturo Hernandez. I think some things don't have meaning. Why do these people want it to have meaning? It's not that we don't want it to. It's not that we don't want it to have meaning. The meaning is that it's badass. when he dodges a bullet. That's the meaning, badassery.
Yeah,
but the problem is that they want to make it stupid.
The meaning is excitement. Like, the meaning is in the technological advancement of it. That's what the meaning is look what we can do. Because that's just humanity. Is hold my beer, let me flex on this bitch.
Yeah, the meaning of it is look how cool this scene is. Look how
and that's a perfectly fine meaning.
And that's fine. But
it doesn't...
what you'll find is 20 years later, saying, oh, it actually meant this, when for 20 years you've never said anything at all. It's just bullshit.
To impose bullshit is just meaningless. It doesn't mean anything, especially when it didn't mean it in the first place. It devalues when... I think it legitimately devalues the stories that actually handle those things. Because otherwise, it's just... I don't know, literature majors having fun to justify the degree by coming up with bullshit interpretations.
It's literally like saying nowadays Rosebud is an allegory for trans rights. Because...
It was not anywhere. It's not anything about the transformation.
I don't even know where I'd start about bullshit, but I'm sure someone could go that way. But yeah, I mean,
because you can impose any type of meaning on anything because it just is possible with language and humanity, and it doesn't mean it actually has that meaning, and it devalues the things that actually intentionally try to pick up those things. But I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah, let's keep going.
By machines that enslave humans and use them as a commodity. The Matrix is merely an embodiment of the society's superstructure. Its purpose is to stop humans from rebelling against their place in society by promoting an ideology to keep them at bay.
Exactly like communism.
The Matrix argues that living blind...
Wait, okay, here's a question. How, if they're all in the Matrix, and they're all in those test tubes, how do they procreate? Somebody please tell me. I need to know this.
Procreation is bigotry. Because it's straight.
Do they have artificial wombs?
It's called... We didn't think that far ahead in the script.
I know, this is Nerd Boy. Someone in the comments come up with a headcanon so I can actually go to sleep tonight.
In a capitalist society restricts people from reaching to go down the rabbit hole.
I'm so sorry.
What?
I'm not talking about capitalism, it's just showing him being a badass. What the fuck is wrong with you?
No, the Matrix is meant to show restricts people.
True potential.
Capitalist society stops you from reaching your true potential.
As if any other society structures doesn't have barriers either.
It wasn't a commentary on social.
Okay.
This is stupid.
Yeah, this is fucking retarded.
I think it is a commentary.
He's saying this at the exact same time Neo is dodging bullets.
I know. Like, come on, man.
Also, bear in mind he doesn't reach his full potential in this scene. Just gonna throw that out there. He gets shot in the knees twice.
Oh yeah, he does fall after this, but I think it is a commentary on
shitty points he was making.
It's a commentary on something only because they're copying or they're taking inspiration from source material and books that actually do have a deeper meaning, but they're just taking the aesthetic that it was intrinsically tied. I don't think they're tying it themselves.
The world they're showing is just basic 1999. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, this is just after all the sci-fi, anime. Yeah, you know, I bet it definitely didn't it take inspiration from Ghost in the Shell?
Yes.
Yeah, so it definitely did. And Ghost in the Shell has a lot of actual themes going on where they talk about this, but they're just mimicking it. So they have a shadow of that meaning in it, baked in it, because they're stealing from other sources. That doesn't mean that they have anything to say.
Yeah.
It says that in order for people to live better, they need to understand the truth about the world that they live in and decide on their own how they feel about that world.
I told you I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it.
So he's Luke.
Oh wow, it's quick.
Door, right?
Holy shit, I wasn't able to read that.
The base, the superstructure, and the people.
It was just a title card that lasted for 3
Part
frames.
3, I think the Matrix, the base, and...
Let's see.
The base, it wasn't the superstructure, and the people.
Maybe it's a symbol that brainwashes you to become
Let's
liberal.
go.
The base, the superstructure, and the people.
Bro,
Right.
keep your if you're not
No,
going to read out your title cards, have them out a little longer. Or just don't have them.
The entire
Oh, bye, Hog.
is based around the base and superstructure of capitalist society by hyperbolizing how Marx sees the capitalist class struggle.
What?
Hyperbolizing?
That was a loaded statement. Boy,
Marx
Hawk, you
is
just missed him saying
hyperbolizing the
it.
capitalist structure. Okay.
Wait, hang on. I just missed that. What did I miss?
Let's just go back because I need to understand it too.
This guy being an asshole.
The entire plot of The Matrix is based around the base and superstructure of capitalist society by hyperbolizing how Marx sees the capitalist class struggle.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
It's
No,
all
it's not.
Marxist
Moving on.
hyperbole. It's a Marxist hyperbole. Yep.
I'm sure that definitely will.
I'm just saying. No, it's not. Moving on.
Shoot me in the head.
There's no other way to be like, no. I really don't think they were thinking about Marxists when they made this movie.
No. For starters, they wanted money, so they weren't thinking about Marxism.
The closest thing you could say is they're talking about transhumanism and maybe just power struggles in general.
The struggle between classes in real life, according to Marx, between the workers and the elite
And the badassery of competence.
In The Matrix.
If anything, it's about the hedonism of modern society, which Marxism usually kind of, or at least the people who go with Marxism, also go with the hedonistic desires.
Well, no. If you want to talk about The Matrix, there's only that one scene in the film where what's-his-face decides to choose a steak because it's juicy and succulent and he doesn't care if it's an illusion. That would be about as far as you would go with hedonism as a principle. But other than that...
Marxism?
Other than that, no, you wouldn't apply that to
maybe it's just maybe it's a
who makes them.
propaganda association that was pushed on. Being like, look at these Marxists, they're so hedonistic. And that's what I'm recalling.
No, I also remember that Karl Marx was a member of the elite, as in he was so elite he never worked a day in his goddamn life.
He was a mooch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Straight up.
Straight up mooched off everything. He never worked a single day in his life.
Here is Way of the Ferret for a donation. Thank you, sir. I'm getting really close to losing my cool, and the video just started. Trinity, help!
Trinity, help.
Well, we didn't quite grasp what he said the past 10 seconds, so I'm about the same position as our wonderful donator.
Yeah, that was quite of a sucker punch of a sentence right there.
So I might have to go back and watch that later just to grasp it. I don't think we're going to get it this day.
Do you want to watch it one more time, or do you
I don't think it's going to help, honestly. I have to do it myself.
Someone's just like pouring himself another drink. Nah, it'll be fine.
Smud.exe is overrunning. More allocated RAM needed.
There's capitalism in the Matrix. Like, what? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Wonderful.
The Wachowski's complex interaction by turning humans
into this.
Humans
it's a stupid idea.
Machines in order to keep the machines functional. This is the base of
It's a
society.
stupid idea.
Matrix. The machines are an allegory for the upper class, and all of humanity has been reduced to a commodity.
Okay, so this is what he's doing. He's saying the superstructure are the machines. So now he's abandoning the Matrix, because originally the Matrix was the superstructure. Now it's the machines are the superstructure, and humanity is the cog.
Also, it's not an allegory because there was no authorial intent. It's called applicability. By God, I will harp on that forever.
Also, in capitalism, you can leave your job and go somewhere else. With the Matrix, just slavery. It's taken people to break you out.
And capitalism, you can leave your job and sell shitty resin art for make a tiny, small ass business thing and make a living off of it somehow. You can't do that in the Matrix. It would,
Or in Marxism.
Also, I'm gonna be roasting these bitches that make this resin art and then beg for sales. Damn.
Yep.
For them to utilize. The superstructure in the film, the media and art that project the ideology of the dominant class, is the Matrix itself.
Project the ideology of you.
Marxism sees the working class in a capitalist society to the role that humans play in the Matrix, and you'll see some very distinct similarities. The Matrix acts as a way to keep humans supportive of their place as batteries for the machines, and stops them from rebelling. The superstructure, in comparison, promotes the ideology of the upper class through the media in order to keep the different classes of society in their place. Its purpose, like The Matrix's, is to subdue the working class. The film does this in multiple different ways, mostly through metaphor and symbolism. Take, for example, the scene where Neo loses his mouth and ability to speak. His actions to rebel against Agent Smith, and by extension society, are subdued by the Matrix by literally removing his ability to speak out. While it is quite literal...
Oh, so like Marxism then?
Between the Matrix
yes, like a communist society would do.
Yeah, like a communist society, yes.
Like this was like something that actually happens, like in these post like there were like Eastern Europe, like these Soviet puppet states. They pretty much like if they noticed that like you have like a very vocal opinion of the system, they took you away. They locked you up, tortured you a bit, and then like told you to never do this again, or like put you in jail.
Yeah, it
like
happens in every sort of structure of society. It happens in communism, happens in capitalism, it's happening today. It's not a symptom of a power structure, it's a symptom of
one of the major difference though is I can say I don't like the government today and not be sent to a frozen wasteland.
Yes, like this happens far less in like a capitalist society, like in the US. Like I know it can happen to an extent, but of course it can. Like in any system, it can happen. But these systems are built that like you have to obey, and if they see a weakness, then they're gonna put you in this situation right on the spot.
To be honest with you, I think the Matrix is pretty much like Marxism.
Yes,
the Matrix really is like Marxism, but not in the way that he thinks it is.
From the title, I was assuming that he was like saying that like it's more like that, but no, like the Matrix is supposedly capitalist.
Yeah, but it's
Like, what can you gain from the Matrix? Like, if you're just like being there, like seriously, like if you're literally just a battery for the machinery.
You don't get nothing because they don't even get pure happiness.
Because all of it is just a simulation. So.
Yeah, it's the same simulation.
It is literally like Marxism. All you're there for is to keep the upper class going.
Yes. Like there are like people who support that like you will have a job for sure, but like they don't have like long-term goals. They just put you in a factory. They will force you to work no matter what you think. Like at least the capitalist society, you can just say like, okay, I had enough. I have enough money for myself. I don't want to work. You can't do that in a communist country, unless like you're one of the higher ups, of course.
Retirement in the Soviet Union, retirement is just a 6-foot hole.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
I might get this done in time for me to make dinner.
Oh.
Quick question, Smud. That's off topic. I have marinated chicken. Should I cook it first and then cook my veggies in it, or should I cook my veggies first and then the chicken?
Put the veggies in. With
veggies
the chicken.
in first?
No. Put the veggies in with the chicken.
Oh, at the same time?
Well, what are you going for with the marinade?
It's like an Asian, so there's a bunch of soy sauce and
so it's already marinated then.
Oh.
Is it already marinated, or are you doing it?
Yeah, it's marinating. It's been marinating for a few hours.
Oh, then just do the vegetables separate. That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
Smud Chef.
Yeah, there we go.
That explains the Matrix.
What does know what it's all about?
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
The Wachowskis set up their allusions to capitalism and Marxist theory nicely through the Matrix.
Nicely?
No.
Where's the proof for that?
No, we don't.
How is that nicely?
No.
It's a vague universal concept. It's a vague universal concept. You're projecting that you hate capitalism, and that's the wool over your eyes. That's the prison.
Oh my god.
That could be anything.
It could be
gender. I could make an argument that the Matrix is gender norms. And if I can make an argument for that, that means that it means anything. Because it's a nice universal concept of a human...
The Matrix is about slavery. See, I've now changed what it means. So
it's
it's not Marxism, it's slavery. So.
I know, and he's implying because like the Matrix is a prison for your mind. Well, it's a prison for your mind literally in this case. He's forcing it to be metaphorical.
Well, the concept of being
get it. You don't like capitalism.
Yeah.
Because there's people who have more money.
Can be metaphorical.
He's gotta have a Patreon now.
It's a political metaphor. It's a very vague metaphor and a very universal metaphor, and that's why a lot of people like it.
Saying you're a cog in a machine has nothing to do with the economic model of that business. So,
cog in the machine. It's for black people.
What? Whoa!
It's only for black people. Like, what are you talking about? It's for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but
I just argue that the Matrix and the superstructure of capitalist society prevent people from reaching their true
potential. This is a movie for Islamic people.
They use the film to project their views on how people can benefit
do you remember those
from
phones?
Society's superstructure, but stress that choice is vital to escape the system.
Reaching your potential in the Matrix.
In one particular sequence in the film, the sequence where Morpheus trains Neo in the Matrix. At first, Neo cannot succeed because he is too restricted by the rules of the Matrix. Morpheus insists that Neo is able to do what seems impossible, and he's only restricted by his mind. When he's fighting Neo, he asks Neo,
"Do you believe that my being stronger or faster has anything to do with my muscles in this place?"
When Neo disregards the rules of the Matrix, his true potential becomes revealed, and he becomes more powerful. He has reached his actual potential. Other scenes like the mirror scene reflect the same.
No, he has it, that's why he gets shot.
For example, when Neo escapes the grips of the Matrix, the mirror healing itself shows that he has been exposed to the real world and he's now able to access his full self. The more Neo escapes the grips of the Matrix, the more powerful he becomes. With this progression, the Wachowskis show that being controlled by the superstructure of society limits an individual's capability in life.
The tower that he is falling from
represents
the tower.
Knowledge and choice of the individual.
Okay, wait a second. He's referring to the superstructure of society as the Matrix now, not the machines?
I don't know what he's on about, because everything he's saying about being held down and held back by society and not being able to find your true potential perfectly fits under Marxism. Because they do hold you back, and they do stop you reaching your full potential.
Right, but
I mean, look at design and art in the Soviet Union. How ugly and crap it was because it had to be meet a government standard. It restricted everything.
Right, but in this case,
I don't know what he's on about here.
Yeah, but in this case, he's referring to the superstructure as the Matrix, no longer as the machines. So he's saying if you can be part of the superstructure, like with Neo is trying to master his whatever power in the Matrix, he can become this whatever Ubermensch that can do things and break out of the base of society. You're like, okay, right, but you don't need to be a this Superman sort of character in order to do that. You could just do that normally.
Yeah.
In the Matrix.
Yeah. I doubt Bill Gates can dodge bullets. So that's not a skill needed to be a billionaire.
Yeah, if this is his style of thinking or his direction of thinking, all he had to say was, well, if Neo just kept applying himself in his tech job, he could eventually move up to a management position and own some stock, control the means of production by directing people on the board of directors, all sorts of other things that is already there.
Well, this
open
guy's
his own
argument
business.
would be that Neo dodging bullets is like, I don't know, a metaphor of Bill Gates dodging financial burdens. I don't know. This guy's insane. God. I feel like an asshole just for understanding this.
You should feel like an asshole for understanding.
Clearly, it's a movie about female empowerment.
All right. Cyrek, thank you for the donation. I think my brain has stopped working from this video. This is not horrible. It's just this weird projection, and the projection is like two different things.
Yeah, this is projection 1,000%. That's just.
But I'm struggling. I'm struggling to with Smudboy. I'm struggling to find out his definition of what the Matrix is.
Right.
Because he's gone from
it's whatever's convenient.
Simulation to then the machines to back to the simulation, but they're two different things. Is he talking about the society and as a whole with like machines at the top and the people at the bottom in the real world?
That was the capitalist.
Or is it about
and
the capitalist society inside the Matrix?
Namus makes a good point. Hello, Namus. Is like this is why there's such bad critique on YouTube. They get the idea in their head that they can make points, but they often always contradict themselves immediately after.
Also, what do they class Zion as? That society, because there's clearly a hierarchy there.
Oh, the human.
Yeah. Zion.
I just want to give.
I watched. Yeah,
Yeah, let's see if
be
we
a
can.
Billionaire. Make a good product. Also dodge bullets.
Show that being controlled by the superstructure of society limits an individual's capability in life. However, in the Matrix, they also advocate for knowledge and choice of the individual. The iconic plot device of the red pill and the blue pill highlights their argument that while people have more capability in how the superstructure of society works, it needs to be the choice of the individual to go down the rabbit hole. They argue that nobody can be forced to leave the system, but if they do, they can become more powerful than ever before. Marxism is the only way to interpret the Matrix and its views on society. However, it is interesting to look at the Matrix through this lens and see how closely it lines up with the ideology.
It's interesting to look at this Matrix through my projections.
Discussing the complex ideas of ideology.
Anyway, donate to my Patreon.
And an entertaining sci-fi is an accomplishment in itself.
YouTubers only have OnlyFans these days.
You see, when Neo dodges
they pour themselves out.
When Neo dodges bullets, the bullets represent people walking by.
This is written by somebody. Remember that.
Minorities frantically dodging the white people so that they do not die.
What the hell?
I just want to point out. That someone wrote this and was happy to have their name attached to it.
I want to hear that one more time. I did not get that.
Economic structures and societal class struggles in an entertaining sci-fi is an accomplishment in itself. Combining it with martial arts is a completely different achievement.
What? That means nothing at all.
How the
That's
hell?
what you end on? That's what you end on? Adding it with martial arts is...
How is that an economic struggle between classes? What are you talking about?
But it's not an economic struggle between classes. It's evil robots versus humans.
This is not a revolution between life and death.
Message coming in.
Yeah, it's
through.
See, also, if you can do something like this, never end with and martial arts were pretty much cool. It's like, no, shut the fuck up about that.
Way to undercut your seriousness. Ew. Just
Kasey McDonnell, rethink your life.
Redraft
because not redraft. Just grab a cup of coffee, have a walk in the woods.
Go meet people. Go meet real people.
Yeah.
Go live life, not on Twitter.
Call. You know what? Pick up the phone. Call your mum. Tell her you love her. Just do that. It'll help you out.
My mom is
frantically dodging the
capitalist.
white people so he won't die. Did I hear that correctly? Damn, he might as well have said.
What a stupid video. I still don't even know what. I don't even know what he meant by the whole fucking thing.
He's just like, hey guys, look at this cool projection.
He went capitalism and then proved that the Matrix in the simulation and in the world was exactly like Marxism, as in like it wasn't. I don't like.
All right, so I have a problem trying to understand what he's trying to say specifically about the Matrix, because that was kind of the point, unless he's talking about the entire film, which I still can't grasp. So obviously his understanding was capitalism was not a very good system that you had to break free from, I think. And he said a lot of things about what the Matrix was and that you have to then get out of it to become better.
Everything he described about capitalism wasn't capitalism, it was Marxism. So I didn't know whether he was saying like this is what a capitalist view of Marxism is or supposed to be. But then he went, but then they're saying about cap, and I was like, well, mate, I don't know what you. I don't really know what you're on about.
The very nature of the video was to take the whole the movie out of context, not just the scene of Neo doing stuff. So it was just this big reach of, this is clearly an example of the superstructure of Marxist thought. You're like, okay.
I don't.
Are we trying to escape the ruling class? How are we doing that? Oh, by leaving the entire company. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what? Then we go to the real world? Yeah. And then what? Now we're enacting a form of something else?
I don't. When I said you're wrong, moving on. That's literally my answer to this entire video.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Message coming in.
Moving on to anything else.
That was hard to listen to, little and grasp.
It's not very often where I watch a video and I don't understand one single point.
Yeah, that was.
No matter how hard I've gone over it, I don't know what he regards as the Matrix. I don't know what he regards as Marxism. I don't know what he regards as capitalism. I don't know what he regards as writing. He likes martial arts. Okay.
Yeah, right.
He talked about the superstructure.
I still don't understand completely.
Neither do I. If Smart didn't explain it to me just now, I wouldn't have any idea from this video alone.
Yeah,
this is just like an example of a guy who has tunnel vision and never been to a country outside that is capitalist.
Yeah, he just kind of drinks the Twitter Kool-Aid. But I'm gonna go make dinner now.
I'm hungry. Bye.
Wait, can I put the chicken and the veggies in at the same time? Or wouldn't it contaminate it?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll just go do that. That sounds easier.
See that you've. I'm not gonna make the joke.
No, shut the fuck up. I cook well. I cook better than you, little McNugget man.
McNugget.
What?
McNuggets are pretty good.
He had like 70 dino nuggets for dinner at one point.
Wow.
Holy shit! You're taking up on the movie Bob challenge.
Well, it's called living on a budget, and that's all I had left.
Okay.
It was the end of the month. Don't you at me?
All right. We're not going to judge anyone's eating behaviors or cooking skills. That's something outside of this conversation. You can do that at your own time. All right.
Go harass Hawk on your own time. I'll see y'all later.
All right. I got 2 more super chats that we're going to call it a night, and thank you for joining us. This is also from Irina Tugurniev. Thank you again. The Borg from Star Trek or the Matrix? Which is worse? I would say, I don't know. You're talking about a planet that's being enslaved by a computer intelligence we've created. That's kind of sad for humanity's case. Whereas the Borg are a galactic-wide destroyer of civilizations, which just keeps getting stronger and stronger. So they're very similar, but I don't know. It depends what scale you're talking about.
You can at least escape from the Matrix, the Borg, unless some outsider will help you now.
Like imagine the Borg takes over the galaxy, and then you're stuck in the Matrix, and it's just like you are now. It doesn't matter where you go, the Borg is always there. And they're in this because the Borg have a simulation for group intelligence as well, right? So
yes.
Yeah. At least with the Matrix, you are living like what you class as a normal life. You believe you live in a normal life.
You have a sandbox to play in. You have your own little
with the Borg,
supposed reality.
You are literally, you're mutilated.
With the Borg, your brain is taken over. You are part of their collective mind, and you are no longer an individual. So
it's also not a fun transition.
The sad thing about it depends if you watch Voyager. It actually seems to be no big deal. But anyway, if
Voyager what? We're not.
Yeah, in the Matrix, you have the belief that you can be free, but the administrator is like, no, we've done this countless times before. The same result keeps happening. So there's really seems to be no end in sight. It's just a constant cycle of building
really,
up
it's like
Xeon and
it's like you
losing it.
Yeah, it's like being in an asylum. And on one hand, you can go into the garden and walk around and interact with people freely. The other one's being lobotomized in a room. It's sort of like those two choices.
Well,
like you're still a prisoner. But
when you got the retcon of the Borg in Voyager, things are like, wait a second, everyone has this paradise land they're all part of collectively.
No, yeah,
it's like, wait, that can't be right. I mean, that'd be amazing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm part of the Borg collective, and I do whatever you guys want. But when I go to sleep, it's like the dream world. Anything I want.
I always take what Picard says in the episode after the best of both worlds to be what happens with the Borg, not what happens in Voyager. So, and his recollection of it is absolutely horrific and terrifying.
I guess the Borg has like an equality problem.
Yeah, once you feminize the Borg, everything becomes a little better.
Well, it's a matriarchy, isn't it? It's run by a queen.
Apparently, yeah, it is. Yeah. Who knew? Thanks, Janeway. That's a great discovery. Oh, great.
Yeah. Oof.
Joe Crazy. Jiu-Jitsu represents the struggle between the classes. Oh, really? Is that the MMAs and the Kung Fu experts? just curb stomping all the Kung Fu guys.
The fight between Neo and Morpheus represents the racial tensions in modern America, showing the upper hand that the white people get over black people or something. Do you know something? I'm sure that's been thought up in some left-wing SJW think tank. Oh dear.
So I wish I could hear the guy. I wish he could slow down a bit and express his ideas in the Matrix video. I think the previous one was kind of like, all right, well, this is what he thinks about whatever.
I don't know.
Males.
Isn't he? He's called the one janitor, isn't he, or something?
I don't know. That sounds really pretentious.
The two videos that I've watched, he's literally said loads of things, and then at the end, he said, "Yeah, but it's up to you, do it or not do it." Then he disregards his entire video. So,
in our video today, he wanted you to buy some merch, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, I know. But was it really? Yeah, was it really? Yeah, because Neo is a white savior. Here he is. Yeah, he's a white savior. He saves all those other white people. Oh no, The Matrix. Yeah, it's an alright movie. Shame they never made any sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. That was a little touch longer than I thought, but the vapidness of some of these videos are like, oh, we could have just kept the play button going and just not paused it. Not learned it.
Yeah, not pause it. I mean, there was points. Oh, someone's popular. But
what is this? What is this link in the chat from Setter? Oh God. Keanu Reeves says a lot of things out of context. Nah, it's okay. I won't watch that just now.
Oh. It's odd. He does not Zach, so don't worry about it. It's not something bad.
That could be worse. I don't know what that means yet, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for the suggestions. Keep the suggestions coming. I will be actively adding them because after that reassessment of the now we have 7 or so voting channels on the Smudcast.
Yeah.
So lots to choose from now. Keep them coming. Keep the suggestions coming. Keep the voting going. And we'll be seeing you real soon. So thanks, guys, for on the panel. Thanks for watching these wonderful videos with me. And all the guys in the chat, thanks for keeping us sane. And hopefully you had a great evening.
I'm really glad that I just woke up to get those 2 videos in. That's the first thing I've seen.
Get your brain going. Say, whoa.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
I'm ready for the rest of the day. The day can't get any worse.
All right.